right, what's going on, everybody? So I wanted to talk about the nutrition aspect, as I said I would talk about. And this time let's talk about if you are looking to gain weight, and some advice that I have had and advice that I followed throughout the years, what's worked and what hasn't. So for myself, gaining weight hasn't always been easy. You know, as I got older, it became easier, maybe because I got older, but I do think most of it is because of just trying different things and being consistent with things. The major thing to be consistent with if you're trying to gain weight is eating more. That's as easy as that sounds, or as simple as that sounds, I should say. It's not always easy, because even when I was trying to gain weight, being at a smaller level when I first started, I'm 220 now. I've gone up to close to 250, down to 220 now. But I started off like 170 pounds. And when I was 170, thinking that I was gaining, or thinking that I was eating a lot, it really wasn't. When you sit back and you start looking at your calories, maybe eating 2,500 calories, maybe some days eating 3,500 and thinking that's a big deal. But big deal if you ate 3,500 in one day. You got to do that every day, you know, and then increase those calories. Now, advice, some good, some bad, that I've gotten throughout the years. You know, you hear a lot about eating protein shakes, protein food itself. You know, and I've tried all that. Even up until recently, to a couple years ago, trying some of the strongman diet, some of them being, you know, the diets that they followed. Some big name nutritionists and lifters themselves, I won't mention them, but you know, the advice sounded good. You know, eating lots of red meat, fruits, vegetables, white rice. And that in itself is obviously very highly nutritious as far as terms of minerals and vitamins, of course protein. It was actually very good. But that can become too much of a good thing, if you will, if you're doing too much of it, I have discovered. You know, 2 or 3 years of just eating a ton of meat and a ton of calories and a ton of rice did take its toll on me. I couldn't do it. It was starting digestive issues and I think some autoimmune issues with my skin and alopecia with my hair. So I do think that it created some problems. And scientists have actually, I was reading an article that made me think a couple months ago, maybe like 6 months ago now, that there's even a sugar that's in red meat, actually all meats, but more higher in red meat, that humans can't digest. That there's an enzyme that carnivores have to digest it, but us not being carnivores, we can't digest that. So that becomes like a toxic thing within the body. And the body, just like everything else, when it's a foreign object in there, is trying to kill it. And it just creates a constant chronic attack. So chronic inflammation, and then creates these autoimmune issues. And they even advise if you're eating more than 8 ounces a day, that can become a problem. So here I am eating probably anywhere between 28 to 32 ounces a day, sometimes more, of red meat, ground beef, and steaks. It became a problem, I believe, you know. Maybe if you're younger, I mean, I'm not old, but 43 years old. Maybe if you're in your 20s or 30s, you can get away with it. But I still do think that obviously that's a very anabolic diet, and I think it's good, but cyclical. Just like everything else, you know, you don't go at it hard all the time lifting. You're not doing 100% weight every time. You gotta cycle that stuff in. So I do think that even for myself, but even for younger people, girl or guy, that you cycle those diets of the dense nutrition, dense calorie foods for, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks, and then back off. But I also have another frame of mind thinking, and I'm experimenting with this myself, is do you really need all of that? Right now, for the last 2 months, I have been keeping my calories pretty stable at about 3,000, 3,500 calories. I'm not anal about counting, but I know what I'm eating. But it's mostly high carbs, because that's something that I used to eat a lot of times. Naturally, you know, if you want to call it my ancestors, my genes, you know, being Hispanic, Latin, I've eaten a lot of rice and beans, you know, throughout my life. My ancestors, of course, did, and I have been eating a lot of that. I don't want to call it I'm on a vegetarian diet, but I would say it's leading towards, my diet is more of a vegetarian diet right now. Not because I want to be vegetarian, it's just I'm eating a lot more rice and beans and fruits and vegetables. A ton of fruit, rice and beans. I would say that's 80% of my diet right now. Am I eating meat? Yeah, I'm still eating red meat, but probably maybe 8 ounces, a half a pound, 2 or 3 days a week so far, right now. Some tuna, some fish, some eggs, mainly on my workout days. So I worked out today. So today will be, if you will, that heavier, anabolic food, if you want to call it that. So I'm gonna have some steak today. I had some eggs earlier today. I'll have some milk. Tomorrow I'll probably have another piece of steak, some eggs, and of the fruits and stuff like that. But then for the rest of the week, it's back to the rice and beans and stuff like that. I'm experimenting this, and I'm actually feeling good. I've lost about 25 pounds, but not just because I switched over to the diet, but obviously I've reduced my calories. I was eating about 5,000 calories with that other food. Now I'm down to about 3,035. So we're talking a 2,000, 1,500 calorie drop. Anyways, I'm down to 220. I've been maintaining this weight for about, like I said, a couple of months now, and my strength hasn't gone down, and I'm actually getting stronger on a lot of the movements with the higher carbs. The biggest thing is keeping your calories to a certain level if you want to maintain. And I think even to grow, if you want to grow, I think protein is too overrated. It's the number one thing, and people demonize carbohydrates, and fats is now good, and just carbohydrates is like, stay away from it, it'll kill you. It's like drinking gasoline, if you will. And I think that's just the opposite. Well, scratch that, because I'm not saying protein is bad either. But let's not demonize and make one thing way up here. I don't think protein is that special. It's all special. But if you're a lifter and you want to be your best at your athletic performance, carbohydrates is what you need. Now, I know carbohydrates, sometimes it can mean many different things. So let me specify, when I say carbohydrates, I mean your fruits, okay? Vegetables, fruits is more to be taken. I don't think vegetables is that important. Everybody is all about vegetables. They're not bad for you, but fruits, better, okay? What else do I think when I say carbohydrates? I'm saying, again, your fruits, your roots, potatoes, plantains, carrots, okay? Minimal, those are not processed, taken out of the ground kind of carbohydrates. And then after that, your minimally processed stuff, okay? So your brown rice, even white rice, good bread. I make my own bread, so that is minimally processed. But if you're gonna buy bread, try to buy bread that doesn't have a bunch of enzymes, preservatives, all that stuff, because those become problematic to the digestive system. Again, when I say carbs, I'm not thinking donuts, cakes, candy, a bunch of just processed carbohydrates. If you're eating a lot of that junk, potato chips, all that stuff, then yeah, that's easy calorie dense food. So of course, if you cut those, you're gonna lose weight. But anyways, that's not what I'm talking about when I say carbs. I'm thinking fresh food, one-step foods. That's what I'm thinking of. One step from the farm, whatever, to your plate. Stick to those. Beans, as I talked about earlier. So if you're eating those kind of carbs, high fiber carbs, they're much more satiating and they're better for you. But if your calories are high, you're gonna gain weight, okay? So if you need to gain weight, I guess at this point, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're a person already eating hot dogs and pizza and all that stuff, you're a young man and this is what you want to eat, this is all you have access to, and you want to get stronger and bigger, obviously eating more nutritious food is better. However, if you don't have access to that, you come home and all you have is a frozen pizza in the freezer to throw in the oven, then eat that, of course. But make sure your calories are up. A young man needs about probably 2,000 to 2,500 calories, depending on how active he is. Same thing with a young woman, maybe a little less, 1,500 to 2,000 calories. Again, depending how active you are. But whatever it is that you're doing right now, if you're not gaining weight, you're not eating enough. So you stimulate growth by working out. Okay, you're not gonna grow, just like you can't just say I wanna grow apples, but don't plant any seeds. Okay, so you do have to plant the seed. In this case, the workout itself is the stimulation. But if you don't water that seed and feed it, what happens? Nothing, right? It'll kill it. So same thing is you need to water and give nutrition to that seed that you planted via extra calories, okay? So that's how you gain weight. Add the calories. If you want to add the dense foods like protein, steak and all that stuff, that's great. I don't think you have to. Just up the nutrition of good whole food, okay? So that's what I have for how to gain weight. Next video we'll do, when we talk about nutrition, will be on how to lose weight, as I said. So if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up and say you like it. Don't forget to click on subscribe and come follow me. In the meantime, stay strong.